Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. What is it? Happy Thursday to you. Let's go and take a look here at Bitcoin, see what's going on. Apologize for the late start. I was up late. I couldn't sleep. Apparently, tons of profit will do that to you. So, congrats again to our community members for that. You've probably seen it already if you caught my video from yesterday. But yeah, again, Solana, Dogecoin, Bitcoin. We hit two Dogecoin trades, 80% and 66% both hit their targets like less than 24 hours. Awesome stuff. Anyways, what I'm mentioning that because, when you take profits and you have this kind of like, this high off of, the market, it's important not to just be like jumping right back in and over trading. So please, please, please recognize the faults in that thought process of wanting to, not wanting to miss out, so to speak. You can definitely, catch some bad trades if that is the case. So anyways, just kind of throwing it out there. Nobody's perfect. I am far from perfect, but I can tell you though that when I do have like some pretty significant gains, like we just saw here recently with a couple days ago, or yesterday or the day before, we can recognize that it's best to pump the brakes sometimes. That's all there is to it. All right, so just giving you some food for thought. Obviously, trade however you want to trade. Everyone has different risk tolerances, but I can tell you that I found the most benefit from kind of just relaxing and not just jumping into the markets because the market's hot. You want to be careful. And speaking of being hot, I mean, take a look here at Bitcoin. We can see a pretty solid amount of, liquidation here upwards about 77,000. Each one of these red bars, there's 1, 2, 3 of them. Each one of them are about $3 billion in liquidation. So we're probably talking somewhere in the range of just 10 to 20 billion alone between now, or just say 76,500 and 77K. So I think it's a distinct probability that we're going to see a wick up to that area. I'm heavily considering a short in the 77 to 78K range if that happens. I'm also considering a long in the 73 to 74K range too, but both of these things are, we may not even achieve either of those things for a while. There's just the truth in that, right? But based on a greed standpoint, the way the market is kind of on fire here still, and the significant amount of liquidation delta, leads me to believe that people are going to keep trying to push the price action up. But we're going to hit that critical mass soon, right? We've been at about 10 billion in liquidation delta for the last 24 hours. That will have an impact, all right? So just know that we can't maintain this for too long. 1 day is okay, 2 days maybe, but we see this occurring for 3 or 4 days straight, we're going to see a pretty strong pullback. Again, we could see a parabolic continuation, of course, or that type of continuation, and those things do happen on occasion. We're poised and ready for it, so to speak. But minus that little caveat that shouldn't happen, crazily, we should be in good shape. And all I mean by that is obviously we saw a pretty good run here. That was a fundamental catalyst. Now the dust is settling, things are the realism starting to set in, and while the price action should continue higher, we're going to hit that point soon where we start getting kind of burnt out, or just there's not as much volume flowing in. Anyways, we want to pay attention to volume. I'm bringing that up because it's important to recognize that yesterday was a significantly monumental volume day. And today so far is looking pretty decent. I mean, we're still early in trading day here. We're getting close to our average there, our moving average essentially, which is a good kind of barometer of continuing this upside, this uptrend. So when I speak loosely about shorting at 77K, that's mostly just a liquidation short. I'm not going to try to short down to the 60K range. That's just foolhardy. What I will do is probably short to local supports, which is the previous resistance, probably that $74,000 range, and or maybe the 75, 76. In fact, we'll try to identify that here and see what is going on with local fib areas and just general retracement potential. So the daily time frame always looks a little funky when you have these really large candles. So just keep in mind, all the moving averages are below the price action. We're going to see a lot of bullish signs here that let us know that it's important to just kind of pump the brakes and be careful. That's kind of the common theme here today. I think things are cooling off a little bit. Some outliers, of course, but Bitcoin dominance starting to pull back, and altcoins are kind of trying to naturalize before either the next leg up or possibly a pullback. That all depends on Bitcoin for the most part. Obviously, every altcoin is different, but if we take a look here at the RSI, we're basically treading water right at 70. That does reaffirm some resistance here, but also reaffirms that we've broken that level and we're like right on the edge of either greatness or potential pullback. We may even have a Bart Simpson on our hands. And I know it sounds kind of weird. People are like, what the hell is that? But the truth is when the price does this kind of like a range here, You kind of see like the head of Bart Simpson, and it pulls back down. We have a joke in our community. I think it's actually probably even a real pattern at this point by now, just based on how funny it is. But the humor in it is that we could see a drop off of a cliff here shortly. But it also is less likely because the simple fact that there's so much volume in this coin right now, it really makes a lot of sense to just consider going up than down. Do I want to take a long at 76,000? It's hard to even say 70,000 at this point. It's kind of a bad idea, I think, at this point too. That's just me personally. I just don't like longing what feels like the top. But once more, price discovery is a weird thing. So we're getting close to that weird little place. So I think it's best just to kind of wait for the price action to kind of do what it's doing here. Let it figure out its high, and if it wants to retrace, all good. Anyway, sorry, I'm kind of running off the course here, but let's get back on track. I just like to kind of inundate you with some good, useful information. Sometimes it's not so useful. Apologize. Stochastic swinging up here. We can see money flow index falling behind or just trailing behind. Still not the greatest sign, in my personal opinion. It doesn't show like magnificent amount of strength, but it also is very positive in a lot of ways too, because the money flow index is not as high as the RSI, but we see all this selling pressure here in the last 14 days, basically implying that the money flow index is quite high, all things considered, because we saw a ton of money flowing away from this coin before it pumped up, okay? So that's generally a favorable thing. The easy way to understand it, daily time frame still looks great. There's no other way around it. Even though we're testing that 70 RSI resistance, I don't think that's much of a resistance anymore. I feel like we're probably going to continue to 77, possibly even 78K, just based on the simple fact that we got a decent amount of liquidation. That's what this purple range is here too. I drew that out last night. Obviously, there's been some that's been swept, but 76.5 to 77,000, there's like a little $500 chunk that has like almost a good 10 to 20 billion in it. We have already looked at that. So just kind of give me an idea. That's roughly what that looks like there. We can see here we're above all moving averages. 4-hour time frame is going to reflect some positive stuff here as per usual. It keeps wavering above and below 70 on the RSI, generally construed as a take profit target. So if you're in a long from 68K like us and you didn't secure profits, by now, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, that's cool and all, don't get me wrong, but on the same accord, it's not really ideal or appropriate to do that. Okay, you're getting too greedy in the market right now. So just some friendly advice: be very careful with that. Anyways, overall sentiment here is really good on the 4-hour time frame. I don't think we're going to see a monumental pullback, but if so, let's talk about where the price action could go if it were to retrace. Now, these red lines on the chart are key level, like daily candlestick closures, where the price action's had a difficult time getting across that. So we can see here, 73,100 is one of those areas, and we've also got 71,700. Okay, those are two very important levels. Coincidentally, they match up really well with our fib levels here too. So I'd say 73,000 would be the more immediate support level. And secondary to that would be 71.7 as a round number. I'm rounding up a little at 71.6 and some change, but the general consensus here is that that's a 0.5 and 0.618 fib levels, kind of reaffirming themselves as potential support levels. So phenomenal entry for a long would be 73,000 and or 71.7. Okay, that's just kind of some dollar cost average targets and or just some areas of consideration for some longs. And again, if you're going to consider some high leverage longs, make sure you watch it close and just use low position size to offset. But you're better off using a higher position size and lower leverage than the other way around, just so you don't have to face that liquidation, the fear of liquidation. So just friendly advice, be very careful taking high leverage trades at this exact point. We can see here the lagging span is getting super close to the price action. So if Bitcoin doesn't break to the upside here in the next 24 hours, we have a pretty solid consideration for a short with higher success. Because again, when you try to short into these uptrends like this, it can be difficult. Obviously, as you can see, the price keeps waking up and down and kind of running really quickly out of nowhere. So with us waiting a little bit longer for a potential short, you'd have more confidence taking that short, right? Right now, 76 to 77,000 seems like a good consideration for a short because we are forming a double top here. You could even argue this is like a really ugly head and shoulders. Just kidding, not quite. But the whole consensus here is that we're seeing some resistance at 76K, and if I saw correctly the 4-hour time frame, that was last night. Never mind. I was going to say there was a double top on the 4-hour, but that has since been invalidated. So the key takeaway here is we're still on the bullish side of the tracks here. I think we should wait for a little bit longer, let it get just a little bit higher, and then consider a short, or just wait for a better long. I would not recommend a long at this point. I don't think there's much meat left on the bone. We might see a $1,000 or $2,000 increase, maybe a 1 or 2% continuation higher, but it wouldn't make a ton of sense for the price to just shoot and skyrocket from here. But keep in mind also, price discovery is a weird thing. So with us being in kind of this uncharted territory, it's going to continue to flounder around for a little while. So generally it's best to avoid trading when price discovery is in session. Again, most signs are pointing up. You're going to have still a good amount of success going to the upside. I don't necessarily recommend shorting yet, but I think in the next 24 hours, we can't get through this 76K threshold. I think that we're going to be in a position to consider shorting. I'm planning to short at 77,000 just quite simply based off liquidation alone. I think once we sweep this little chunk here, we're going to probably see a pretty aggressive pullback. Just because there's, again, a lot of meat left on the bone here. And I forgot to look at the fair value gaps, but there are some newer ones forming, and keep in mind that we still have some fair value down as low as about 71,000. And depending on what time frame you look at, it'll change and show you a different result every single time. So generally speaking, we're not in a... I would just be careful trading. Careful trading Bitcoin. But when do I not say be careful trading Bitcoin, right? It's just kind of, it's the nature of things. So, and what I mean by careful is just, use good risk tolerance. Don't get too crazy. Don't just, take a long on a feeling. Use what we have on the charts here so far. Everything's telling us the price should go up, okay? Truth is, it can only go up for so long, and I think a pullback would make sense here in the relative near future. Is it going to be monumental? Probably not. 73, 71.7K are likely the two next targets if the price does pull back. So just be mindful of that. If you do end up shorting, try not to short to zero. That's just a very, very dumb thing to do. All right, folks, that's about all we got. Cool stuff here with our trading competition, or more so just a progressive prize pool. It's not even a competition. We got a lot of volume flowing in here. We got 169 million volume. We hit 500 for the month. We got a 60K prize pool. It's pretty awesome. So pretty cool stuff. Congrats again, everybody, for that. If you want to be part of that, simply use the link to register down below. And I look forward to working with you. If you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is the site. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks again so much for your time. We'll see you next one.